Sacramento City, California. You're listening to The Second Column with Joe, Mike, Carlos, and Sean.
All right, everybody, welcome to a very special edition of The Second Column. We are doing a couple things different this week. First of all, there's no column. So,
Yay!
Yeah. Why are you happy? Carlos is happy about that.
I love it.
Yeah. Second of all,
I can't read anyway.
Thank you. Second of all, that voice you just heard was the voice of Dave Pavlina, our
Whoa.
good friend from Japan. Dave!
Hello. Good evening.
A legend.
Good evening.
A legend.
A happy new year to you all.
Oh, wow.
We love Dave. He's one of our best friends. He's sitting in as our guest for Sean Kearney tonight.
Sean Kearney.
Who?
Sean. The other guy who used to sit right there. Do you remember
okay.
him?
No.
I like Dave's impression of Sean.
What was your impression?
Sean Kearney.
Do you know why I like
Yes.
Dave's impression? Do you know why I
is
like
that?
Dave's impression of Sean Kearney? Because that means he listens to the podcast.
Yeah, actually,
Dave has heard every podcast. I think along with my brothers, my parents, Mark Thomas, my buddy Smooth. There's like 8 or 9 people I think
Who
who've
are
heard
these people?
every.
Cool.
My parents? You've
Oh.
I have parents.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I think they've heard every podcast.
Building the following.
Yeah, we're building a following.
Very good
Yeah,
following.
exactly. So
Sturdy.
we are here on New Year's Eve at Mike's house where we record the podcast.
The final hours of
Wow.
2007.
2007. We are marking
Whoa.
the end of a historical era here. And so if at any point during the podcast you hear a knock on the door, people walking into a room, whiskey bottles being dropped,
Yeah,
Just
people
ignore
throwing
them.
up.
yeah, exactly. Music coming on, Dave's girlfriend doing ninja moves.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
that is the sounds of the party coming through. Or nobody may be here yet. We are literally, the party invite was at 7, and it is 7 o'clock right now.
But everybody in Los Angeles tends to get to parties like an hour after the time, so we
Yes.
figured.
Yeah, it's the LA thing.
Now, Dave, are people prompt in Japan, or are they late like they are
Oh, they're
here?
prompt, man. The train's coming at 1:51. It's coming at 1:51, baby.
That train was early. It
Yeah.
left without me.
You got like less than 5 seconds to get your ass on that train.
Wow.
I know.
You're gonna be caught in the door.
I love those pictures of the Tokyo subways where it's like there's a crush 90 deep, and everyone
Yeah.
gets on in 3 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they push you in.
Yeah, it's an
Yeah.
amazing phenomenon. It's,
That's awesome.
yeah, it's quite amazing. So,
Fortunately, I always have like an old man's armpit in my face.
Nice.
wasn't there a problem in Japan where old men were like rubbing up on young girls or something?
Yeah, they have
That's a
signs.
problem?
Well, okay, wasn't there a
all right.
phenomenon? Wasn't
Well,
there
it's not a problem for you
Okay,
and me.
let me rephrase this for Carlos. Wasn't there a dating situation on these trains where
thank
old
you.
men were?
Well,
A dating situation, yes.
I was trying to pitch it more towards Carlos.
yeah, there's signs on the train that they're called chikans, and they're like the perverts on the train. And they say like,
Wait,
and
why
they have like a you know, like the pictures on the restrooms of the man and the
Yeah.
woman figure, you know,
Yeah.
the international symbols.
Yes.
They have like the woman symbol with like a hand grabbing it, and then it says like a circle and an X through it. Like, please don't grab a woman's ass while you're on the train.
That's
like,
quite a society
you know,
that's going on.
you know, like a lesson to be learned. Like, you don't know this.
Now
Like,
they call them chikons.
Chikan.
That's the name of the pervert in Japan.
that's the name, yeah, like a pervert on the
Interesting.
train that's like grabbing people.
Would
They
would
actually
it-
have a vocabulary
It's
for
funny
that.
because it's actually chick on, so it's like
Yeah,
you're on the
chick
chick.
on.
It's
Oh.
pretty easy to
Chick on.
remember.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
good.
it's pretty easy.
Play
to
with
remember.
words.
See, I'm telling you guys, Japanese is not hard.
Now,
language to learn.
now, Dave. Though, in all fairness, though, this is a country where men are grabbing women on trains, but they also live to be longer than anybody else on Earth.
Yeah, that's
So
probably why.
I mean, some people say it's the fish.
Right.
yeah.
Perhaps it will change now
It's
that the signs
fish
are put
and the
up.
rice.
Yeah, maybe it's the public ass
The-
grabbery.
Yeah, the public ass grabbery, the fish, the rice, all the smoking.
Isn't there
Yeah.
also a thing where people just leave like porno out on trains, or like
Nice.
Yeah.
those cartoons? What's that
Well,
called?
now you're getting actually into the reason I moved to Japan. which
Yeah.
is-
Yeah.
I should move there. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, there's
The acceptance
porno.
of perversion. over there.
Yes.
Yeah, like stuff that I would see like in Red Hot Video. It's like just posted on billboards on the
Right.
train.
Wow.
And
You
there'll be like
serious?
guys reading like porno comic books on the train. I'm like, hey, dude, let me see that for a second. And,
Wow.
Yeah.
So they
And there's,
they
like-
just show like really like lewd, and I'm seeing like pictures or whatever right on the train, like right next to like an old woman. or
Well,
something.
see, that's the thing I don't get is like, yeah, they'll have that stuff out, you know, like they'll have billboards with like, you know, boobs and stuff like that. And then,
That's wild.
you know, like, you know, I've never seen it, of course, but like Japanese porno is they'll censor the money shot.
Is that because
Really? So, like,
is that because your
I was-
girlfriends right behind you?
Well, like from what I heard from friends
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
and
All right.
stuff.
Dave, what,
you know,
what I'm
when
hearing,
I was,
what I'm hearing is the train has a very sexually charged. Like there's like porno, there's people grabbing ass. It's like Studio 54, basically
is.
when you take the subway to work. Is what it
yeah,
sounds like.
well, I mean, it's weird. Like, you know, when you go to the mall in America, pretty much everyone's dressed really casually. You know, jeans and t-shirts and whatever.
Right.
But in Japan, it's like a model show. You go out to the
Really?
mall and they're like all dressed to the T's.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Interesting.
You know, like mini skirts and stockings and all that stuff. And it's rather distracting.
I
In
bet.
fact, like here, being back in LA, I can really kind of just relax and take a deep breath.
Enjoy
and,
the environment.
and concentrate on my art.
Right.
You know, and
Enjoy-
go back to
enjoy.
church and, you know.
Concentrate on
But
life.
Japan
yeah.
is
Yeah,
just,
just
it sounds like a
concentrate on
very
life.
sexually charged.
Oh,
Okay,
absolutely.
Mike and I went to Japan and visited you. was
Yes.
it 2.5 years ago.
2005.
Yeah, and we were just amazed by like the sexual subculture. They had what were those hotels called?
I love hotels.
Love
Love
hotels.
hotels.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a country where people rent a hotel for 1 hour and they leave after 1 hour.
Wow.
But it's also a country where
Yeah.
most of the people live with their parents till they're like, you know, whatever. So that this is their chance to.
I'll never forget.
Right.
What was your friends, or the one that we drove with to the waterfall in Tolturi?
That was Yumi?
Yumi. Okay.
Yeah, Yumi.
I should say that Yumi
Or,
was
or yummy.
Yumi.
No, you.
Oh,
Michael?
No, Yumi.
That's what
Was
happened
Yumi
to
yummy?
shit. Yes.
I should preface this. She very nicely, she picked us all up. It was Dave, Kaio, Joe, myself, and I, and she had a minivan.
Yeah.
So she picked us up and she drove us to this waterfall.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is gonna be fun, you know. So I sat in the front seat, you know, like in the
And
front.
she had
with
a
her.
little crush on you, I think.
I think she had a
Yeah, I
little
think
crush
she had
on
a
me.
little crush.
Very
But
sweet.
that's not the worst of it.
Wow.
We were driving. We were driving on this really beautiful mountain road. If you ever saw Spirited Away, the movie, that's what it looked like. But you know, in real life. So we were driving on this nice mountain road, and everybody, like you, Dave, Kaio, and Joe, you guys all fell asleep in the back.
Yeah, we were
Yeah,
passed
I was
out.
tired.
So I was in the front, and Yumi was telling me how much she hated her brother. And while she was telling me this, we were on this narrow mountain road, one lane each way.
Wow.
And around these blind curves, she was pulling all the way into the wrong lane. And I was sweating because all I could see was this Mack truck. Well, I don't know what it is in Japan. It's probably a high truck.
A Ford.
Yeah,
or
this
something.
giant truck.
So anyway,
the Ford in Japan.
It was a Ford
all
Taurus.
I saw
but-
was
yeah.
just this, like, her telling me about how she hates her brother and this truck just coming into us and you guys never knowing what happened.
Now, I woke
we were
up. I woke
totally
up for
passed out.
I woke up for like 2 minutes, and it may have been the first time she ever drove a car. In all fairness,
I think it was.
I think it was too.
Yeah.
Because I remember just like watching her all over the road, and I was like, well, I can either stay awake and suffer or go back to sleep and die in my peace, you know. So I went back to sleep.
Wasn't she telling you like about her 6th accident or something?
Yeah, she'd been in a bunch of accidents.
the worst driver I'd ever seen.
Yeah, she was
She
pretty
was
bad.
coming around these blind curves, and like a car or a truck could have just come. You guys never would have known what happened.
Yeah, we were
I got
passed out.
out, and Joe looked at me and he asked if I was all right because I was
Yeah, you were all
flushed
sweaty.
and I was sweating.
agitated.
And I'm like, no, I'm not all right. I'm not all right.
Well, you know.
Sorry, I have bad allergies, so I snort sometimes.
It's
Wow.
okay.
That's,
All those were Mike.
hey.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's one of the most dangerous animals. You know, it's, I always bring this up sometimes.
Uh-huh.
Where it's very like lions and crocodiles, sharks.
You love when animals fight.
and,
Yes.
and hippos. But also the Asian female driver is right up.
Oh,
there.
yes.
Yes.
Carlos and I had a great moment together. We were in an In-N-Out on Sunset, and this minivan came out of nowhere and just about nailed my Buick.
Oh, no.
And at that exact moment, she drove by, and it was like revealed, like it was a movie, like it was an Asian woman driver, and we
Right.
just looked at each other, and it was like, yeah,
Yeah.
figures.
Now I do have to say though, it's not everybody because Dave's girlfriend Kyle, who's sitting here, she was actually a good driver. She drove us around and
She was a
she
good
knew what she
driver.
was doing, you know?
She was a good driver.
And
Yeah,
you'd be
yeah,
a good
she's
driver. So
Although I will say, last year I was rear-ended. I was rear-ended not by an Asian man and his wife, by an Asian man and his entire family. Rear-ended me at a stop sign on Santa Monica Boulevard. It was like a clown car. Like Asian people just kept getting out of this car,
Wow.
and I was like, "What?" You know?
And it was like
and I was like, "What? Were you all driving? Like, what the hell?"
It was like 7 in the morning too. I
It
think.
was 7
There was like
in
no
the morning.
traffic. I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
I was-
it's funny in Japan. Japan because, like in America we say, oh, the Asian drivers, oh my God, and there's a stereotype associated with that. But in Japan, there's a subset of the Asian drivers. So in Japan, the Japanese drivers themselves are really safe and good drivers. But when when someone can't drive in Japan, they're like, oh, it's got to be a Chinese guy.
I was actually pretty impressed. I was really impressed with the cab drivers because they would weave in and out like centimeters apart from a car and not hit it.
Yeah.
And when some guy cut him off.
No, let me tell the story.
Fine.
All right, here, this guy, this truck in where did we get picked up? Osaka?
It was Osaka,
Okay,
yeah.
this truck almost runs us off the road in Osaka. I mean, it was a big delivery truck. It almost kills us, runs us off the road. And our cab driver, who kept the neatest cab I've ever seen. I mean, it was like the inside of my aunt's house. You know what I mean? It was nice.
Doilies.
Yeah, this guy, his expression of anger, and I swear to God, I'm not making this up. He taps his horn and goes, neat, neat. That was it. But we almost got killed. And he goes, neat, neat.
You don't believe the threshold that must be crossed for that neat to happen.
This was funny too because when we got into that cab, I guess the Japanese word for yes is hi.
Yeah.
Now, of course, Americans, they say hi, how you doing all the time. So Joe and I got in the cab, and we were like, hi. And the cab driver was like, hi.
Hi.
And we're like, hi. Hi. He's like, hi.
Hi.
So we were saying yes, 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 yes to nothing.
Back and forth.
What about also when we landed in Japan? This is my favorite. Mike's parents love this story. We landed in Japan and we were staying in Tottori, which is basically the West Virginia of Japan.
Wow, it's
but
the countryside.
It's a province of Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was living there.
And the stewardess who had been fueling Mike and I with Bud Lights and vodkas for 9 hours was like she goes, "Are you staying in Japan?" And Mike very confidently is like, "No. Tottori."
No, not Japan.
It's like landing in the U.S. and
Tottori.
somebody goes, "Are you staying in the U.S.?" And then being like, "No, we're staying in West Virginia."
West Virginia.
She gave me this
the US.
cross-eyed look like I had 3 heads or whatever.
She should have ninja chopped you in the neck, is what she should
No,
have done.
that's an interesting point, though. Like, Dave, when you moved to Japan, you actually moved to a very small town where Americans usually don't go.
Right. It was
Totally.
very countryside.
What was that like?
Let's see.
Being an American
population-
and everything, like coming straight from America, not having 100% grasp on the language, mind you, but like
Right.
a good grasp, but
Yeah,
not.
I had studied it for like a year before coming, and then I moved to Tottori, which is like a city of 150,000. So what is that, like Santa Barbara size?
Yeah,
I'd say?
Probably,
Yeah.
It's kind of
It's
So-
fairly large, but it's still remote for like where Americans would usually go. It's not a
Right.
place, yeah.
It'd be like a big city in Alabama or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And the big difference was that
Mobile.
I wouldn't see like non-Japanese people for months at a time.
Yeah.
And walking around the town, I'd see like another white guy like walking the opposite way, and I'd kind of give him a look like, "Dude, what the fuck are you doing in my town,
Right.
man? This is my city."
He's
dude.
probably on the run from something.
Yeah, I got kind of possessive of it, you
Yeah.
know, and you two got, you Mike and Joe, you guys went there and
We got
you
some-
saw,
we got some stairs.
Yeah, you got some
Yeah.
stairs.
Can I tell you my favorite story of
Wow.
of a stair
It's
down?
like
Yes.
storytelling. though.
Okay, I just have to say this because it was one of the funniest moments of my life. If I died tomorrow, I would go and probably tell God this story. I'm sure he would laugh. There's this magical place in Japan called
Just go.
Just go.
Just
yeah.
go.
And it's sort of like for Americans here, it's sort of like what Costco is, but the beauty of it is they sell like all this seafood and like this
it's
fresh
beautiful.
seafood, like $5 you can get all this sashimi. And
Yeah, it's like a
sushi.
Costco or a Walmart, but
Yeah.
it's more like a department store. But
It's like the fresh,
But the food is so
Yeah,
fresh.
all
you know?
fresh
freshly
food.
made.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
So
the
anyway-
deli.
Interesting.
Yeah, and everything, all Japanese food.
When we visited, we had this thing. I was like, "Hey, let's make it a Just Go day."
Right.
Just go
So
morning.
every
Just Go
morning,
morning.
Breakfast
every
there.
morning we'd go and we'd get like 5 pounds of sashimi. We'd get just packs of beer, and
It's like Thanksgiving.
every
Yeah,
morning, it was just
Japanese.
Thanksgiving. So Joe was walking down the aisle of this gigantic Just Go, and he's got two things of beer in each hand.
Yeah,
like
each
two
like 2
six-packs.
liters. Yeah,
And they're
giant
large. So I
jugs.
was walking behind him. Meanwhile, this little Japanese kid who was sucking on a lollipop, okay, sucking on a lollipop, sees Joe walking down the aisle. I shit you not. He opens his mouth. The lollipop falls to the ground,
Wow.
and he stares
Awesome.
at Joe like he was an alien from another
Yeah,
planet. Meanwhile, Joe was just walking with all this beer. He didn't even notice it. But I just stood there and I laughed more than I've ever laughed before.
Well, you forgot one of the funniest parts was that the kid was looking and the lollipop falls, and he doesn't take his eyes off Joe, and he starts pulling on like his mom's shirt, going like, "Mommy."
How old was this kid?
He was like
It's a little guy, like 3 or 4.
3 or 4.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, what? You haven't ever seen a 5'5", 200-pound bald guy in sandals and a cut-off shirt before?
In the middle of the countryside,
buying
Japan.
beer at 9 in the morning in the countryside of Japan.
But let's just be fair, because my dad, that's the same thing he did when he saw you.
I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
I'm sure your father the same.
It was funny too because it was like 9 in the morning, and breakfast, the Jusco breakfast lasted from like 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Yeah, from about 9. We would get up every day, and Mike and I would work out from 8:30 to 9
in the Ninja
Park.
Ninja Park.
yeah, that was good too.
Dave's apartment complex was located next to like just a little kids park, but it had like a kind of weird jungle gym thing
Yeah.
that made us think. And
Yeah,
Dave
it was-
labeled it Ninja Park.
Yeah, I call it Ninja
and it was
Park.
next to a river, so it had a lot of like
and it had a
ninja-
shrine there
Which
It was a
too.
shrine.
headed right out to the ocean. His town was right on the ocean.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
on the ocean.
So we would go out there and work out for half an hour, and then walk down to
What do you
Jusco.
mean? What do you mean work out?
Mike would walk for 50 yards,
Uh-huh.
which is a good workout for Mike, and I would like run and jump rope and lift myself on the bars. And
I think
stuff
Mike like had his shirt off too at some
like
point.
I think
Wow.
he did. I think he did also.
I was like,
so.
that's good.
Yeah, so that was our ninja workout. Then we would eat from we go to Jusco for half an hour and wander around and buy food and fish and beer and things like that.
I wouldn't have survived.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then we would eat from like 10 in the morning to like 1 in the afternoon.
Yeah, then you drink like 5 gallons of beer.
Then Kyle would pick us up and either take us to like some kind of adult game. What was the name of that place?
JJ Club.
JJ
Yeah,
Club.
that was
JJ
awesome.
Club.
And go play video games.
Oh, I
all
love that
afternoon.
place.
Yeah, or we would go to like the sand dune, or we would take a bus
Yeah.
somewhere and do some sightseeing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It was truly a magical place.
It
It
really
was funny because in Japan you can drink on the street. There's no
Yeah.
public drinking law, and
Nice.
in fact you can buy beer in the vending machines some places. And
Yes. Oh, in the national park.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the national park, you could buy beer in a vending machine.
Yeah,
Which I
you
thought
guys
was
took a picture in front
awesome.
of it. I remember.
Well,
And
it was awesome.
It was just funny because leaving Jusco, you just really wanted to take advantage of that just because you couldn't do it in the U.S. So.
Well, I remember we would walk from Jusco to your apartment, like through the downtown of Toturi. And
Yeah,
drink,
you
drink
polished
beer.
off like 2 beers
Yeah.
on the way back
Jeez.
home. It was like a block away.
That was one of the best vacations.
They're like, oh, we got to work this off. Let's go to the Ninja Park and work out.
Yeah, or we go run up and down that sand dune. That was a lot of fun too.
Yeah, that was good.
There was
Yeah,
a sand dune in Toturi. It's kind of famous for its sand dune.
Yeah.
And it was about a half-mile walk up.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it would take you about 5 minutes to walk to the top, maybe a little more, 5-10 minutes, and then you would run down it in like 6 bounds.
Yeah.
yeah,
It would take you 4 seconds to run like a half a mile.
Yeah,
I remember climbing up. It was like Mount Everest for me, just because I have respiratory
Yeah,
issues,
yeah.
but when we got to the top, it was so cool because you looked out and you saw Korea. Like you saw Korea across, the ocean. It was magnificent.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could really see Korea.
Well,
I mean, it
you
was
said-
it was
you said-
that. I know. I said it was
Stop,
that
that's
way.
Korea.
Stop pointing at me.
But I
I'm
mean,
pointing
Mike's
at
pointing.
Carlos.
Mike's pointing.
because he looks like
Like-
map of Korea.
but it's still pretty far. I mean, when you look, when
Yeah.
you go to Venice Beach,
may
can
not have
you,
been Korea,
can you
but-
see Hawaii?
What was the landmass then? Because there was a landmass there, and you're like, oh,
Godzilla.
that's Korea.
It's probably Godzilla.
I don't know. There's like an island in the middle of the. I
Yeah,
don't,
well,
I
maybe
don't know
that
Might
what
have
was
been
it
an
is.
island.
Yeah.
Korea would have been quite a haul.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see Korea, but yeah.
Where do you live
Yeah,
now?
it's funny. I live in Tokyo now.
Oh.
Tokyo, that's right.
Yeah.
Hey Dave,
So
I
we
don't
moved.
want to put you on the spot, but you
no.
you happen to own one of my favorite stories of all time.
Own. Wow.
And you remember you wrote and you sent me an edited copy of the story where
oh dear God. Yeah.
And
the Kyoto story.
would you mind if you told us that story?
Oh,
boy.
sure.
I would like to hear it again and have it for posterity on the podcast.
Well, I guess this all starts with me being a fan of ninjas, and I was an English teacher in Tottori at the time, and my students all knew that I love ninjas. So one student that really loves just traveling around in whatever, he offered to take me on like a ninja tour. So
Which is cool. They have ninja tours.
yeah.
In
And they're
Japan.
actual ninjas, right? Like, I mean, the real McCoy. Like, these...
Well, from many years ago, but Dave, go ahead.
Yeah,
Describe the tour.
But these were like historical towns you can go where ninjas did once actually live.
That's,
Right.
yeah.
So there were 2 towns, like maybe like a 3 or 4 hour drive. It was
Right.
an all-day road trip thing, taking
Yep.
this tour. So we went to 2 towns, and we took the whole tour.
Right.
On the way back, we stopped in Kyoto. It was on the way there, like the old capital of Japan. And we had this, like, just this decadent dinner of all these courses and stuff.
What was the thing you ate though that was unusual?
Well, it was called tonyu. Okay, and it's now usually Japanese food. I really love Japanese food. You know,
Sure.
you have to live there, and it was my first time having this. It's like a tofu. It's kind
Yeah.
of sweet and milky, and it's a little heavy,
Coconut.
and it's just milky. I guess is the closest.
Okay.
Almost like a pudding.
Right.
Like a sweet pudding, but it's made of
Right.
tofu. Now I thought it was fine because tofu's like soybean, you know,
Right.
I thought non-dairy or
Natural.
whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck was in this stuff, but like it was just a little dessert, like not even that big, and I ate it, and like no sooner did it go down my esophagus than like I got a wicked shit attack, like right in the restaurant.
Oh my god.
So I just excused myself and I went off to the restroom and I took care of it. And I
Right.
thought all was done. Like,
Right.
all was okay.
Right.
So then we hopped in the car and it was like a good 3.5 hours back to Tottori from Kyoto, like at night. Okay.
Right.
So we're driving along this country road and there's just this horrific intestinal grumblings like
no.
coming from the side.
Where you can hear it. That's the worst.
It's like your intestines fart without even and not through the.
Well, it's like you don't even
Yeah.
know which way the gas is going because it's not coming up. And
Yeah.
it's not coming
Oh,
down. It's
I
going
don't-
like sideways or diagonal.
I had
or
no
something.
track. It was like lungs were in my ass cheeks, like just breathing on their own, and like there was probably gas coming out of every orifice, including like my eye sockets.
Were you in a really small little car or a little van? Or?
Well, it's Japan, yeah, so it wasn't, and it, it was like 5 of us, so it was like the car was full.
yeah.
And I remember I was just sitting in the passenger seat, and I was just like a cat scratching the side,
Yeah.
just really trying to hold back. I think I call it. I think in my article I called it Noah's Archean flood of shit. I was just trying to hold back the the flood, and I was just red and sweating like I was like a pregnant woman, like I was gonna give birth.
Right.
And I was gonna try to just hold it all the way back to Tottori and just have this massive relief back in my apartment.
Yeah.
There was no way that was going to happen because it was going to blow in the car.
This is like what, an hour or two into the trip?
Yeah, this is about an
Yeah.
hour or two into the trip.
Yeah.
And
What
I
a-
held it as long as I
What
could.
a nightmare.
And I was like, oh my God. And the guy, Susumu, I love this guy. He was driving. And I tried to say it as calmly as I possibly could. I just said, Susumu? And he's like,
Hi.
toilet? And I'm like, yes. Like, just trying to hold back,
Beads of sweat coming down your face.
Oh my God.
It's like a tear.
And
kinda
I was
like a
glad it was
teardrop.
dark, so he probably couldn't see my.
He could
but
probably infer by the smell that you needed a toilet.
I didn't think it smelled, but like when you're kind of numb to the pain like
Right.
that, I was
It's the
probably
least of
in
your
shock.
concerns. It's the least
I
of
was
your
probably in
concerns, right.
shock and actually
Right.
shaking.
Yep.
Fortunately, he found like a rest area. Okay, and he pulled over. Okay, so we all get out. There's like 3 girls with us too, which is really awkward.
Awkward.
You don't want that kind of thing to happen to you with.
They start
with girls
pointing
around.
and laughing at you. Like,
Oh God, it was awkward. So we jam in there, and I'm kind of like, oh, I'm just walking off to the toilet, just gotta pee a little bit. And so I go in there, and Susumu comes with me. I'm like, oh no, don't come in here,
What?
just wait outside. And so I go into the stall, and he goes to take a piss. Okay, and there's no one in there, of course, and it's got the tile walls.
Japanese style toilet, right?
Well, yeah, it was Japanese style toilet, which is basically just a hole in the ground.
ground.
Yeah, it's like a toilet, like just
That's
squished
that's
down
my
on the
nightmare.
ground.
That's my nightmare.
Oh yeah,
there.
yeah. I was living your nightmare.
That was my nightmare.
And it was clean. That was the good thing. So at least it was clean, but it was the hole I had to squat over.
Right.
And I never know which way to face because there's like this cup in the front, and I always had these conversations like, do you
cup?
like because the problem I have
like
is
like this.
Oh.
if the cup. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm digressing, but if the cup is in the front, I can't really get the pants like
Down. Yeah,
because
that makes
the,
sense.
the pants are in the way of the cup, and the cup's in the way of the pants. So I kind of pee on the pants. And so
Yeah.
the only solution I found was actually remove my pants entirely.
So you're naked.
So I'd have
So you're standing naked.
So
That's good.
I had no pants
Let
on.
me catch this. You're standing naked over a hole in the middle of Japan.
Well, half naked. I have
Okay.
the shoes on
Oh, you-
because I am still in a restroom,
That's-
and I just removed the pants. Okay,
That's
they were
ridiculous.
loose-fitting jeans, so I kind of pulled them off because I wanted to do this right. Okay.
Right.
And Susumu was still in the restroom taking his time, and I'm like, I was all sweating. I'm like, David, this is where it's gonna happen.
That's my favorite line. Like, this is
I
where
just
it's going to
said
happen.
it to myself. And it just, of course, it just all came out at once, and I was just flushing
Crazy,
like an old man pulling a slot machine handle.
Right.
And I was like, "Oh, baby!" And I was just flushing and flushing, just hoping to God that Susumu didn't hear like the abominations just reverberating off of there. Now, the bulk of the load was all just dumped out in one shot.
Just one shot, yeah.
And then there's like, the residuals, and stuff.
Yes.
And so, I kind of dealt with it. And then, it took a while for me to kind of get myself back together.
Well, your legs were probably weak.
yeah. You kind of have to suspend yourself.
Yeah, you have to
on,
hold
like
there's
the
bars.
poles.
There's bars you hold on
There's
to.
like bars.
Well, you shat out the entire Roman Empire. I mean,
I felt like I was in a scene in the Saw or something where I was being tortured.
Right.
Like,
You have to poop your body weight or you die.
in your poop is a key that unlocks
It's
your...
like, fuck it. I'm not getting that. I'm staying in.
Right.
I'm gonna die in here.
Yeah.
gonna die in here.
'Cause,
Okay.
I don't know.
All right, now, when you pooped, was your aim true or was it?
It was true.
good.
I was cool. The
glad your
hole,
aim was
fortunately,
true.
is relatively large.
Large, good.
But the thing I hate is you're squatting, and humans have this natural repulsion to your shit.
Yeah, as
okay.
it's a healthy thing.
Obviously.
Yeah, you don't want to be near it or
Yes,
smell it
yes.
or eat it or anything.
Yes.
So the problem with the squatting position is you are naturally close to your shit.
Yes, you are.
And that's why I just keep flushing it like constantly. And
Yep.
so that's kind of nasty, that part. So, I got myself back together and, and calmly walked out. And, they were all waiting for me. By some vending machine, and they're like, "Are you okay?" And it was kind of like one of those loaded questions, like,
Because they knew.
yeah, it's just a normal thing.
I would have said no.
No, I'm not okay.
I'm not okay.
I'll never be okay again.
Call an ambulance. I need some professional help.
I have one lung.
Well, I think if I waited any longer, I would have grabbed Susumu and said, "Something's wrong with me." So we got back in the car, and there was just this maybe a couple minutes, 2 to 5 minutes of just awkward silence. And I think no one really knew how to kind of restart a conversation
Right.
at that point.
Right.
And Susumu just said something like, "Wow, it's kind of cold," or something. And we just, like the girls,
Wow.
like the other girls are like, "Yeah, it's cold."
Wow, the car's moving faster because we're getting better gas mileage for some reason, and I
Right.
can't explain. Yeah,
Yeah, the car was lighter.
we're going
and
a
there's
lot.
like,
Yeah, the car was actually coming off the ground at points for some reason.
they didn't have to have the windows open anymore.
Oh.
The girls just kind of had this look, and it was like, "Oh my God, is it gonna happen again?" We got like another solid 2 hours here,
Yeah,
and luckily that was
That was it?
Yeah, that was it, and I was fine. We made it all the way back.
you were like the Great
And-
White Pompeii. They weren't sure if you were just.
they thought you were gonna go off again. You're like Vesuvius.
Well, there's this concept in Japanese, they call it tatemae, which means the surface, okay?
Yeah.
And then there's hone, which is the opposite, which is the true feeling. And there's kind of a balance of both, where you're playing this game of hiding your true feelings. And,
Yeah.
as many people, know, Japan is a really polite culture. There's a lot of
Almost
honorifics.
repressed to a certain
Except for the
Right.
train. But,
Yeah, except for the train. Yeah. Well, it's considered polite to grab a woman in the ass.
Oh,
Except
okay.
it's a greeting.
except for the 5:15 to Gropesville.
Right.
5:15. So yeah, there's this concept, and I just remember, a lot of times you have to infer the true meaning, but based on, these like kind of physical cues and just the body
Right,
language.
right.
And it really was quite easy to read. They're just like, "Oh my dear God, what did he do in there?"
So you were like,
I think-
"I'm fine," but the look on your face was like, "I just gave birth."
It's
basically.
like-
I did give birth.
It's like in that Alien
Mike's
movie.
pointing again, by the
It's
way.
like in that. You
What
know
the hell,
I
man?
don't know.
It's like in that Alien movie where the guy became possessed with the alien,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he just wrecked a kitchen
Yeah.
and just knocked everything over. And the wife came down. She's like, "Honey, are you all right?"
No.
And the husband's like, "I tripped."
right. Right. Yeah.
I
Exactly.
remember that.
Well, it's embarrassing. You don't want to bring that up.
Yeah, you're in a car
So-
full of chicks and you just took the biggest poop of
It
all
was
time.
like, 2 or 3 girls and then the guy,
Carry,
it was
carry
like-
next time, buddy.
and it was pretty awkward. And then when they dropped me off first, so that was cool. And I got out.
They went 30
Yeah.
miles out of their way to
Yeah,
drop you off.
they- out of their way, they dropped me off first.
Right.
And then I got back to my apartment, and I was like, "Oh my God, I made it!" Like I finished the marathon, like 26 and a quarter miles. I did it, and it was late at night, so
Yeah.
I just got ready for the shower in bed, and I was taking off my clothes, and I saw this nasty skid mark.
Oh.
Did you throw him out or did you try to save him?
I did not try to save it.
Yeah, you'd
It
go
just
right to the
went-
garbage.
I would have thrown it right outside
Yeah.
the window. I don't
Dave,
even
Well,
know
I think
why.
I tossed him off the balcony into Ninja Park.
No.
Nice. Nice.
I just have to
Very
say, like,
respectful.
You know, it was always a bad day in high school. Whenever you walked into the gym bathroom and there was like a underwears on the garbage.
Yeah.
You know why they were there.
And
'Cause-
they couldn't get it into the garbage. It was
never
always
went in.
hanging off
but,
the rim.
But there's only one reason you went in the gym bathroom in high school, because that's where you could poop and nobody would bother you.
Right.
So
You know,
it
it's
means
weird,
somebody
like,
didn't make it.
I've always worn white boxer shorts, and Dave, you've always said that takes a lot of courage in a man.
It
'Cause,
does.
man,
Yeah.
you know, you know me. Like I would have skid marks all over those white boxers. Jesus,
There's one time.
I'd get about one use out of those.
Because you live on
There-
the edge, Dave. You live on the edge.
I'm sorry to resort to fart humor, but there's this
I
one
love it.
time that I do have to tell. Like Dave used to live with me actually, and
No.
we were watching a movie one night, and Dave was just kind of sitting on his bed, and I was sitting on the floor, and we were watching the movie, and Dave all of a sudden just let out this sound, like it was not, it was more human, or not, it wasn't a human fart. It was like he was gonna blast off.
It was like it was a space shuttle.
But
just
I
when you
could
blast
tell.
off?
I could tell by the look on your eyes, you lost control of it, and the sound just kept coming and coming, and Dave was shocked and laughing, but shocked by his own fart because
lost
it lasted
control.
for like a minute, and like he could have seriously gone into orbit. I mean, it was. I've never seen anything like it.
Did anything
Well-
come out? Did everything just like come through?
I think part of my large intestine came
Wow,
out
okay.
actually.
You had to push it back in.
Wow.
I had to kind of
That's good. That's
work
good.
it work
Very-
it back in,
very
kind of like a
healthy.
water weenie type of thing.
Oh.
But yeah, I hate to resort to fart humor as well, but farting unfortunately just seems to be this kind of theme in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was telling my girlfriend, it just seems like I said before, I think I have lungs in my ass.
Sure.
Like an extra, and I was telling actually my girlfriend and my sister this earlier, is that, like Michelangelo created, fine works of art. He ate food and that fueled his creative energy.
Right.
And Mozart, he would eat food and it would feed his, creative energy to create, beautiful classical music. I think for me, I eat food and it just fuels this like natural gas factory. And it's, yeah, like, I'm sorry, I can tell by your disgusted
you're,
looks. Maybe we should move on to another topic. but-
Yes, Joe.
Yeah, that's a fine idea.
I actually have
Oh,
something
no.
I'd like to ask Dave, and that is because we have some comedy people that listen to the show. Chris Mosier, thanks
Yep.
for listening.
I think
thank you.
Yeah,
We have Megan Parks,
Yep.
she likes to listen to our stuff. I would just like to ask you because Dave, you've done something very interesting. Like, there's a lot of people trying to make it in comedy here in Los Angeles, and this is a great place to be. You can be in Chicago, New York, or Los Angeles, and you can do really well. But you do a music comedy act, and
Yeah.
you took it to Japan.
Right.
And you perform in front of Japanese people that are not used to seeing an American white guy with like auburn hair singing in Japanese.
Right.
And I just want to ask you, like, what is it like going over to Japan and like being an artist, a comedy artist over there in some of your stories? Because it's pretty amazing, I think.
Well, it's great because, I remember, Mike, you and I were in a band. And the tough part about being in a band in LA is that everyone's in a band.
Exactly.
Like your dog's in a band and your mom's in a band.
Yep.
And, you're begging your mom to come to the performance on like a Wednesday night at 11, in the middle of nowhere. And in Japan, it was really a big benefit just being like the only white guy in the middle of this small town, because anything you do would stand out. So walking around Tottori, getting stared at, I said, hey, I love attention. Let's do this on stage. And then they'll all stare at me. Maybe I can, get this crowd. So that's one big advantage, being the one white guy. And, it was funny. Like, I had this song I just kind of wrote as a Japanese practice for my class. And, it was about my ex-girlfriend, Linda. We were actually in Japan. So it's kind of a Japanese story. And we got in a fight. We always were fighting. And,
Carlos never liked her, but
Well,
that's another story.
I'm a total jackass, and she was kind of emotional, and it was just a bad mix. Like, if you're a jackass always making jokes, don't go with a girl that's like really emotional.
Right.
She'll she'll misinterpret everything you're saying
Right.
when you're just
we
trying
have
to
we have a
shtick.
guest who just walked in, but that's okay. We'll keep it going.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Keep it going. Happy New Year.
It's actually Jen Jones for those of you that.
Former podcast.
Yeah, Jen Jones.
hello.
Jen, say
Welcome.
that.
Happy New Year.
And her
Happy
dog.
New Year, Jen.
And Chloe.
Yeah.
Hello, Jen.
Jen Jones will be on the show
there's
again
a
very
puppy.
soon.
There's a
Oh,
doggy.
look at the puppy.
That's okay.
Look at the puppy.
All right.
Anyway, continue, Dave.
We're just doing our podcast.
Yeah. So, anyways, I wrote this song about how she ditched me at this Japanese station, and
Right.
it got to the point where I was up on the platform and they had to make an announcement. You know, like this Japanese guy comes on, and you could tell it wasn't like the standard announcement because the microphone's all shaking around. It's like, American boy, American boy.
They said American boy.
Yeah, American boy. And everyone just looks at me because I'm the only American guy in the whole station. And so I just do this walk of shame back to the office, and everyone's kind of laughing at me like, "Oh, he's lost. Look at the poor little American
You're like
boy."
24 years old.
Yeah, I was like 24 or something.
How embarrassing.
So-
that. Oh.
I wrote this song about it, and I performed it at one of our school parties. Like we have these parties at our English school, and I played it, and everyone really enjoyed it. And they said, "Man, you should do that on stage at like the one club that's in Tolturi."
Nice.
So yeah,
After Hours Club, right?
Yeah, After Hours. You guys were there.
Yep.
You guys performed with me actually
Yep.
that one trip, and I performed it there, and everyone just really seemed to enjoy it, and it was just much easier to get gigs and get noticed.
They
being,
loved you
a little
too.
different.
We're gonna tell the story of the After Hours Club, but right now we're gonna actually play that song, a recording of that song.
Yeah. Let's play a little bit of it. We won't play the whole thing, but we'll play a little bit of it.
Yeah.
If you want to hear the whole thing, go to mondaiji.com.
mondaiji.com.
Yeah,
But
that's right.
let's play a piece of it
Yeah.
right now so you can hear the song.
千葉駅で置き去りにされたプラットフォームで一人ぼっち、yeah、千葉駅で日本語ができないアナウンスが聞こえたアメリカンボーイ、千葉駅で皆さんわかったよ、僕の名前はデイビッド・パブリーナです。 Why do you do this to me at Chiba Station? 日本語ができないat Chiba Station. Why do you do this to me?
All right, I love that song.
Awesome
me too.
song.
Wow.
It's a,
thank
it's a
you.
great
And,
song.
and one thing we should say is Mondaiji actually means problem child.
Problem Child.
Problem
Yeah.
Child.
So
Yeah, that was a
that's
nickname.
the Japanese term for problem child.
Nope.
Yeah.
I thought it meant Monkey Ninja.
Dave is a monkey ninja.
It
but-
sounds like Monkey Ninja.
we had
Yeah.
one of the best nights of our lives at the After Hours Club.
Not me.
Not
Unbelievable.
you. It was Carlos wasn't there, but he'll be joining us for another one. But
you gotta make it
we
there.
played a show where we got to get up on stage. Mike and I did a song with Dave. Mike did a set with Dave, and we got to perform a lot of music, and it was a lot of fun. And Mike, the owner of the club, who was
Yeah, Poncho.
Poncho.
Yeah.
was this. I can't believe this guy exists.
Well, Poncho's not the owner; he's the chef.
The chef.
Yeah.
He's
Okay,
the head
the chef.
chef guy.
But
Yeah.
he acted like he ran the place.
And I have to
Yeah.
say, he made the best Mexican tacos I've ever had.
Well,
Yeah.
In fact, Poncho is the most Mexican-looking Japanese guy you'll
yeah,
ever see.
he's
Yeah.
like this short, chubby Japanese guy who looks like a Mexican
with like
guy.
a beard and yeah.
So Poncho does make great tacos, but that night his band like headlines
Yep.
during the night.
Yeah, they're the house band.
He's got like a 9-piece band. They're really amazing.
Yeah.
But they had noticed Mike's guitar playing during the sets, the different sets we were doing, and they
Yeah.
called Mike up and they handed him a guitar and they were like, "Play. We're gonna jam and you're gonna play."
Oh yeah.
And for like 3 songs, Mike was freaking like the Eddie Van Halen of Totally.
Oh, totally. I
Japan.
have like video footage of
Yeah,
it.
I mean,
broke
the
a
response
string, too.
the response
Yeah.
he got was amazing. I've never seen anything like that. Mike
Oh, yeah.
was a good guitar god for
Guitar hero.
for like half an hour in Totally, Japan. Like everything you did was right. There were like 50 kids on the dance floor. Like I don't know what the clubs are like there, but like it was like kids like 16 to 30.
Well, yeah, it's the only place to go in the whole town.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it actually is technically a college town. There's a university there. So yeah, sometimes some nights you'll have like just a huge crowd of college
There was a band there that we saw too, young kids, and
the guys who did the Rolling Stones, the guy who did the Mick Jagger
covered the
impersonation.
Rolling
Stones. Yeah.
Unbelievable
band
Yeah.
though. They were really good.
This guy, this 5'1", 18-year-old Japanese kid did Mick Jagger better than anybody I've ever
he even
seen.
did the little like hip,
he did the
hip
dance.
twirl and
He
stuff.
had like his shorts were too tight. The whole thing.
Now,
Yeah.
I have to tell you guys, like, I mean, you both know this, but for you listeners, I met a girl that night.
That's right.
Show
Oh,
off.
yeah.
She was a Japanese
Lucky.
girl. She was
Lucky.
so incredibly
She was
attractive,
smoking hot.
beautiful piano player.
Yeah.
She lived in
Kobe.
Kobe.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
and
I was translating for you the whole night.
Now here's the
that
problem.
was annoying.
I couldn't speak any Japanese, but we started holding hands, and I was trying to communicate to her. So I had to go to Dave and like how nothing
Yeah.
happened because it was such a mess. I couldn't like communicate.
Yeah, I remember
You
you were
should've.
like after your like fifth vodka and vodka. Is that what he drinks?
Yeah. Sometimes vodka and whiskey.
Mike should have taken his pants off, and then I think
You should have spoken the international language of pants off.
Or
Bob.
get
I was
that-
trying to speak the international
Love
language.
hotel. Love hotel.
Or get that
guitar
sign. Get that sign for the Chicon or something like that.
Chicon.
And point to it,
Chicon.
Yeah.
And there's
Chicon.
peel off the circle with the
right.
X through it.
And there you were.
me.
Yeah, me, Chicon. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a frustrating night for Mike. That was tough.
I remember
But
Mike
it was
like,
one of the greatest nights too.
he
I
kind of
mean,
like puts his hand on my shoulder as he always does, right by the collarbone. He's like, Dave, I meet the girl of my dreams, and she doesn't speak English. Like, my life is such a tragedy.
Hey, Carlos, let's all go around and do our Mike impersonations. Since
All
we have
right,
Dave.
all right,
Oh.
fine.
So,
Everybody's gotta do
Dave,
this.
Dave, if you want to do another one,
Oh
you
yeah,
can.
yeah. I'll be busting them out throughout the
Yeah,
evening.
exactly.
For all you listeners out there.
Let me see. Carlos, what do you have?
It's like,
Because Dave was the originator of the Mike impersonation. Dave started it all, and everyone else that meets him like
Right.
does it like organically. Like at some point, you'll just start doing Mike because he's such a character.
my own girlfriend does it now too.
Yeah.
Like she didn't even know Dave.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
Yeah, Carl, our favorites are.
Well, let's see. There's this one. He's like, really? Traffic at 4 p.m. on the 405? You got to be kidding me.
Where's everybody going?
God damn it! They should do something about this.
why-
I'm a taxpayer.
Where are all these people going?
Where are they going?
Yeah, this is ridiculous. They should do something about this.
Or I need a drink. I need a drink.
Right.
I gotta have a drink. Remember the epic car ride up to Malibu
Oh,
for the
that was
birthday a couple years
horrible.
ago? We got stuck on the PCH for an hour, and all Mike did was punch his steering wheel and go, why are there so many people on the road?
And this is the Friday
Where are they
afternoon
going?
or Friday
afternoon.
evening.
We're going. We rented a house in Malibu. We're gonna have a birthday party. It's the best weekend of our lives. And all Mike can do is punt. And Carlos and I we were sitting in the car, and we just start going. We start going. There's a little black spot on the sun today. King of pain. You will always be king of pain.
He'd be like,
That's for like my branded song.
yeah.
And then we also did the voice. Was it Jerry Maguire? Where it's the da na na na.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
they did
Lines over the music.
Yeah, da,
Yeah, the
na,
garden or something
yeah,
like that.
Secret Garden. That's it.
Or something like that.
Secret- And then in Jerry Maguire, they added the dialogue, but we were like, I
need a drink.
I need a drink.
He's like, look at this guy.
What's this guy? Where's he going?
Who is he?
I love for the guy that gets so stressed out about driving. He drives like in the #1 car city in the world.
Yeah. Lives in the
No, man, hey, look.
It's like, oh, I love this city, but the fucking driving.
LA, David.
It's like,
It's the city of angels.
oh, damn it.
Hey, it's a city of angels, but it's got its demons.
Oh my! But that was a T-shirt. That's a T-shirt
Jesus.
number 81. I think.
T-shirt
that
number
one.
81.
Yes.
Oh man, Jesus,
Oh,
very nice.
brother. I don't know. I think we should end with that.
I think we're gonna wrap it up. Mike.
This is a hard podcast to end. Though,
I don't
because,
want to
like,
end it, but
Oh, God.
This is like a once in a lifetime.
wow, we'll have Dave anytime Dave's in the country. We have Dave back. So, Dave's.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, Dave. Is there anything else you would like to? I need a drink.
Who?
I need a
Well,
drink.
not only driving, but have any of you gentlemen flown with Mike?
Yes,
No,
I do.
I never flown.
I
That's-
still have the nail marks on my thigh.
I flew to Japan. With
I
Dave.
mean, it's like my Kyoto story in the car.
Yeah.
That's essentially Mike for 9 hours on a plane.
Yeah, Mike's not the best flyer.
It's like
in
a
the world.
pregnant woman. And I love his lines. I thought he was doing shtick, like making jokes. He's like, there's something they're not telling us.
Right.
There's there's something's going on. The woman just went into the cockpit. I'm like, dude, I think she's just bringing drinks for the pilot or something.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they like to have their vodka and vodka.
Dave, before we flew to Japan, after somebody had 3 vodkas in the bar, we had to go look at the plane for 20 minutes from the window.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's inspection.
Inspecting.
Mike had to inspect the plane.
Yeah, I
before
gotta
we
make
got
sure.
out from outside.
You gotta
What?
make
He
sure
had to
there's
look at the plane.
Kyle is nodding in agreement. You have to look at the plane and make sure there's no holes or anything on the side that someone might miss. It's a busy world. People can miss that
Well,
shit.
the
It's
engine. I mean, a bird could be sucked in there, and it could have screwed the engine.
I was
and
on a
then-
plane where that happened one
Yeah.
time. We were landing in Long Beach, and as soon as we got off the plane, because you deplane in Long Beach right on the runway, and this guy was scrubbing the engine, and I turned to somebody, I go, "Why are they scrubbing the engine?" The guy goes, "We got a seagull on the way in."
Nice.
And shoot it up
Wow.
and spit it out the back of the engine.
Uh-huh.
Well, Mike would be the type to see like the gremlin on the wing, like
Right,
pulling the
exactly.
wires out.
Yeah,
He's like,
exactly.
There's a gremlin on the wing.
Nobody else sees it.
Oh my
I'm
god.
the only one who sees it.
Really? Am I the only one?
Really? A gremlin? Really? A gremlin? All right.
Oh boy.
All right, guys. As much as I'm having the time of my life, Dave, we're gonna have you back.
Oh, that'd be great.
We- we-
Actually,
wonderful
I think we're gonna work something out where we can do this remotely with you.
That would be great.
Yeah. It'd be like my time at like, next week at 3
Yeah,
in the
7
morning.
we're
Seven in the
gonna
morning.
try.
It's
We're
like-
gonna next year. We're gonna try something. So we'll see
Yeah.
how it goes.
Yeah, if you could ever find the damn video phone I set
Or
up
for
here.
those few listeners this year.
Yep. And Mike, maybe what we'll do is we'll take out today's podcast with a little more of Dave's song,
Yep.
and that's how we'll end it.
Yeah,
So,
sounds nice. Yeah, we'll,
Good
you know.
plan.
Yep. So we'll just say we'll skip the aftermath this week, and let's
Yep.
just say Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy
Dave,
New Year.
thanks for coming on. We wish you
But-
the best.
Yeah, if I can just get a little plug in here.
Please.
Oh, absolutely. I was about to
if,
say.
If any of you listeners out there, are interested in comedy in Japanese done by a white guy, you can,
Which is
if
definitely
you fall
our-
into that demographic,
Dave, that's definitely our audience.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
definitely
that's our audience, yeah.
You could check out my website at mondaiji.com, mondaiji.com. Right.
Very nice. It's fun.
pretty
There's a lot
good.
of good videos and music.
And if you are in Japan, if for some reason at any time, like Dave plays all over the place, especially in Tokyo.
Yep, we have listeners in China, so if those Chinese listeners go to
Yeah.
If they
Japan,
happen to study Japanese. as
check it
well.
out.
Yeah.
That's our boy.
Yeah, and if you're interested in Joe's blog as well, please
Who?
check out Joe Donatelli.
No, he don't. He hates it when you do that.
Oh,
okay.
God.
No, it's okay.
There's a reason Sean's not here right
Oh
now.
my god, I'm gonna
Easy.
get notes on that.
You could go to
Easy.
carlosjaime.com.
Oh, yeah. What's there? What's at Carlos Jaime?
That's a lot of like bestiality, a lot of like Nazi porn, I think.
Yeah, I go there a lot.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's that?
checking that out.
All right, we won't do that. No. All right, we won't let Chloe or Carlos.
What?
The little dog.
No, I don't own it. I don't own it.
All right.
Somebody just got it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right, Dave. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
It was a good time.
Great to have you,
Yeah.
Dave.
Great to have you.
great.
This
to
should have
be
been
here.
like a 3-part series.
Yeah. Next time we'll do even more. And then,
Carlos, you brought the porn tonight, right?
Yeah.
we're at a party with girls. I don't understand
What?
why you guys need
What?
that.
I need it for courage.
for courage.
Yes.
All right, fair enough. All right, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
なんで置き去りにしたのなんで